Hey guys, what is happening and welcome to this video. So in today's video we are talking through a couple of different scenarios when it comes to inflation in 2022 and 2023. So we're going to go through these and how they're going to affect asset bubbles, because I think that's key here. I just literally was having a conversation with a subscriber in the comment section. I thought, you know what, this would actually make a really good video. So I came out here and we're shooting this. So if you haven't done so already, guys, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I have a newsletter. It's free until we hit 1,000 subscribers. So get on that if you haven't already done so. I've got Instagram. I've got Twitter. You can find all the links to those in the description, guys. So without further ado, let's do this. Alright guys, welcome back. So first of all, I want to play a couple of scenarios by you guys, and then we can really have like a thought experiment, which is what George Gammon says a lot, but I feel like it's a great word, a great way of saying what we're about to do here, because we're about to play some scenarios through when it comes to inflation, and really we have to kind of be very analytical when it comes to these things. We have to look at what happened in the past to kind of figure out where we're going in the future forward. So one thing that I was looking at was inflation and how the core CPI has kind of spiked. And I'm going to put up on your screen right now the core CPI, and you can see that it hasn't spiked this high since the 1980s, around that time. And now I'm going to put up on your screen a chart of interest rates, and you can see that again we haven't seen those really high rates. The last time we saw them was in the late 80s. Now funnily enough, guys, these interest rate hikes popped a big housing bubble that happened in the late 80s, and this time it could potentially pop an even bigger housing bubble, one of the biggest housing bubbles in the world, only second to China. So the thing is, how would that play out? And I really want to run this past you guys, and then we can kind of chart a path for 2022 and what I believe anyway is what will happen. So I believe to see a housing crash, really we need to see interest rates rise, and they have to go way past where people think or their expectations of where they would go are going. So I would think at least 2% interest rates. Now I think the chances of getting to 2% in 2022 are fairly low. Nevertheless, it could still happen. But the thing that we need to be paying attention to is the CPI, and not the headline inflation. Well, the headline inflation number, yes, but the core CPI. And there's a reason for that, which I could explain in an entirely separate video. But the core CPI affects everybody, and you know, this is the rise of prices as measured by the government. We have to remember that in reality the price increases are a lot higher than the government is saying. So with that being said, when we think about CPI and what's happening, you could see, and I'm going to put that chart on your screen again, that we have not seen core CPI spike like this since before the 2000s and the dot-com bubble. And that should really be alarming to you, because every time in the past, in history, where core CPI has spiked like this, it's ended up with interest rate hike after interest rate hike after interest rate hike. And it has collapsed asset bubbles. This has happened multiple times. It happened in the 70s, the 80s, 1960s. It's happened at various times and for various different reasons. But here's the thing, guys. when core CPI spikes like that, you're going to get a reaction off the Bank of Canada, and we've already seen them turn really hawkish. Now, to the commenter, they said that they don't think the Bank of Canada will do anything and they'll sit on their hands. I kind of see it more from a macro point of view that they might be forced to do something. And the reason is, what a lot of people don't realize is, yes, if they increase interest rates, it will collapse asset bubbles. However, the thing with that is, if they don't increase interest rates and the CPI is raging, then guess what? The CPI will destroy the economy in a even quicker fashion, guys. And I'm not joking about that. You'll see people subsidizing their lifestyle through their savings, through more debt growth like home equity lines of credit, which we're already seeing that happen right now. So people already can't afford the inflation that we have right now. So just imagine that continues into 2022 and the Bank of Canada does nothing. I think the chances of them doing nothing, if core CPI continues, and this is why we really have to monitor that, and maybe we should check in every quarter and review it, or every month, depending on, I think quarter is better actually, because it gives us more time to gather more months of data. But the thing is, I think the probability is so low that they will sit on their hands, because the thing is, they realize they're not even that stupid that they would say, no, the CPI doesn't matter anymore. This is an inaccurate way of measuring inflation. We don't need to do anything anymore. Because modern monetary theory, we're just going to prop up asset bubbles by spending money. I don't think it would happen. And I look at it this way, from the perspective that core CPI rising rapidly will destroy the economy. It will be even worse than if they raise interest rates. So their back's up against the wall. They have two choices. They raise interest rates, or they let the economy get destroyed and everybody get destroyed by inflation. Now, judging by the way central banks are pivoting on this, they're going towards a hawkish stance on this. And you have to remember, central banks, a lot of people think, oh, you know what, they're all front and everything like that. But generally, no, because they have to tell the markets ahead of time that, hey, we're going to do this, so expect this to happen. And that's exactly what they've done. Now, I want to give you a kind of another scenario where you could not see interest rates really do a lot in 2022. And I think this is more unlikely given everything going on which is affecting the inflation side of the argument. I don't think that's going to end, but you never know. And the thing is, that's if inflation, you get disinflation. I don't think we'd ever see deflation where prices actually start going down, but we might see the rise of inflation get slower. And if that happens, you could see them kind of step back if they start to see that things are being affected by their interest rate hikes, like the corporate debt market. Because I think the corporate debt market, the bond market, is more something to keep an eye on than the real estate market, to be totally honest with you. And then the real estate market is another one. Will that be affected? But the fact is, you've got a very, very lefty government, I would say, in Canada that has got even more authoritarian than I ever thought they would. And that really leads me to believe that if prices continue to rise like they have this year, the government might actually come in with some type of way of price control in the market, be it a higher stress test. I don't know. I think the most likely thing would be taxing home sales of investment properties and all other things, which would kind of force people to offload investment properties. Maybe those investment properties wouldn't be profitable anymore, which would mean higher rents, which would also mean higher inflation. So it's very difficult, and they have to tread water because they know anything they do to the housing market, it could actually send inflation through the roof. because what a lot of people don't realize is during 2008, 2009, 2010, rents skyrocketed because of the lack of rental inventory, because you had all these landlords that had bought investment properties and they defaulted on them. They lost the homes. So all this rental availability that was around suddenly evaporated, and you're left with very little inventory and very little people that qualify to even buy an investment property. And that's a video entirely which me and Scott Walters, and if you haven't watched his channel, I'll leave a link to it, suggest you go watch him. But we were discussing this last night. We were saying, well, yeah, back in 2008, what was the credit market like after that happened? It was a very different credit market to the one we see today. And that's really a story for another video, guys. But I hope you got something out of this. This video, incredibly important. Go back and re-watch this video again, just so you can wrap your head around it. I think it's incredibly important for people to understand, to kind of prepare yourself for next year. But anyway, guys, I thank you so much for watching. I hope you're staying warm. I know it's like insane temperatures right now in Calgary. I think Calgary was 6th coldest place on the planet yesterday night, which is just insane. Needless to say, it's not very warm here, but it's a lot warmer than there, about 50 degrees warmer. So anyway, guys, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. The mailing list, get on that before it's gone when we hit 1,000 subscribers. And I will see you in the next video, guys. As always, peace and love, guys. Bye-bye.